views and opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Tando Radio Show. I'm your host Dave from LA, coming to you live from FEMA Region number 6. It is January the 23rd, 2018. We have a live show for you today. We want to just thank you all for listening, and we just want to say we're going to have to reschedule on Mondays. Yesterday we didn't have a show. We're going to have to reschedule Mondays because of some very important things and commitments and responsibilities that we have. That being that my man Scotty has a basketball league that of young people that he is coaching, so he has to make that obligation there. So what we'll probably do is we'll schedule Mondays around that, so we'll be earlier on Mondays. So looking forward to that. We will have a Monday show. Sorry about yesterday, just a misunderstanding on timing and schedule with us, but just bear with us. But we will be back on Mondays. We missed that one, so just to let you know. But Mondays we will actually pre-record or record the show 2 hours earlier. So I'm going to get with Scotty to see what's in best interest of he and I and work that whole thing.
Hey, Dave.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Can you hear me? It's actually not every Monday. Just for people to know, I was recruited by some parents to help out the coach of my grandson's basketball team because I have experience in coaching. And because this guy really didn't know what he was doing, it was terrible. And so I checked with Dave and I let him know, that, I need to do this. I need to be there, be a part of my community, not just the global talk radio family community, but I also need to help out in the community that I live. So it's not going to be every Monday. I got the practice schedule here. It's only like 2 more practices now. There's going to be a practice on, I think this is February the 5th. At 6 o'clock, and then February the 12th at 6 o'clock. So those, I have a schedule, and I think all the games is on Saturday. But I'll keep you abreast. And like Dave said, if we need to do an earlier show, we'll let everybody know. We'll send it out over the network, or if we need to do a pre-recorded show, and then I just upload it to the server and schedule it to play at 6. But we'll work it out. But thank you. We sure will. And man, Scotty, thank you for being a part of your local community and doing that, because our young people really, really do need the overall coaching and mentorship and relationship building and development and nurturing into young men that they will be. I'm already claiming that. So definitely looking forward to that and support you wholeheartedly, my man Scotty. Thank you for what you do, and we're going to continue to go on. So just wanted to let you know. All right, so
But before we get into today's show, everyone, please support Black Talk Radio Network by going to www.blacktalkradionetwork.com, www.blacktalkradionetwork.com, and there you'll see on the homepage the donation prompt that's there. And if you would give a donation to this network, you will actually support this network and with some of your financial energy. If you just give $1 a month, $1 a week, $1, $24 a year by going to and becoming a member of BTR community. If everyone that listens to the show does that, Black Talk Radio Network does not have the overall financial hazard of discontinuing its service. So we're going to have to support this network in order to keep going. So definitely, if you would, please support the network, okay? And need that by you giving some of your financial or joining BTR community. And BTR community, you can find it on the homepage as well. It is the capital B with the black background that's there. Just click that, and then you will be led into how you become a member of BTR community. BTR community is a social media outlet where you are not as adversely affected like on FedBook, because FedBook is actually getting paid for your overall membership, but they're not giving you anything. And not only that, it's selling your identity, and like the other ones. BTR community will never sell your identity. So, and you definitely want to be a part of this. It's a more holistic, sincere way of supporting, and it supports this network. So become a member of BTR community for only $24 a year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, $24. That's it, to become a member for BTR community. So if you would do that, we'd greatly, greatly appreciate you in doing that. All donations are extremely appreciated. Also, if you would like to be a part of our, actually, I think Trade Coin Club is coming back online. I hope so. They kind of messed me up, though, because I tried to, I got to fix it. But that may be a platform that's coming back online. I hope it is. USI I think it's coming back online. Couldn't take the phone call, get ready for the show today, but that may be good. Also, you could do that. Well, let me wait to see what happens. Also, if you'd like to join our crowdsourcing with Bitcoin platform known as known as Coins of Change. Too many coins. Coins of Change. You can email me at powerandcrowdfunding@gmail.com. So platform works, pays, makes contributions, and then I will send you a presentation on that, and then you can join. I'll send you a step-by-step YouTube video on how to actually set up your account. So definitely want to do that. Let me see what else. Oh, okay. So now, next week I'll have more information. I need to finish up a couple of things for our summit that we'll have in April. And we're going to have it here in Dallas. We'll probably schedule some other places as well. So definitely I will let you know on Friday or Monday, probably Monday, what that's going to look like, and where it's going to be, and start giving you an agenda on what's going to be happening there. Excuse me. So I will let you know. So with that being said, let's jump into what's in the news. And what we're going to do, today is the 23rd. We look at current events. What we're going to look at is we're going to do yesterday's show that we would have done yesterday. We're going to do today. And so today's show is really current events, but yesterday's show was the time-worn U.S. has the world painfully fatigued with her existence. Ooh. The time-worn U.S. has the world painfully fatigued with her existence. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to jump into what's in the news. And if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call at any time, 866-510-9025. 866-510-9025. We'll see you in queue, and we'll definitely bring you up. Excuse me. 1 second. I gotta. Okay. So let me just set this up real quickly from yesterday, and then we'll jump into what's in the news. And as I always say, a lot going on in the world. Today was kind of slow, news-wise, but still a lot going on. All right, so here we go. I went too fast. All right, here we go. First article, very, very important article. I'm going to post this actual YouTube video in the chat so Scotty can play it. Scotty, I forgot to ask you. Scotty, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm not quite sure if Scotty is. Oh, there he is. Okay. Hey, Scotty, I'm gonna post inside of the chat a quick 10-minute video about the Syrian confrontation between Turkey.
Okay, I got it.
If you would just
give me a second, Dave. Hold up a second, Dave. We were having some internet issues right there, and it was affecting the stream. You know how when you open up a browser, sometimes it'll cause your browser and stuff to slow down. So that's what happened. So I'm pulling that up now.
Okay.
And I'll let you know when it's
ready.
Yeah,
take your time. I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, cool. And I'll just do what's in the news, and then we're going to go to that. It's a real short one. I want you to hear that. All right. Next article. Let me just set this back up. First article from U.S. Reuters. I posted this. I got this from U.S. Reuters. Turkey forces push into Syria. Battle the Kurdish militia. Turkey army and rebel allies battled U.S.-backed the Kurdish militia in Syria, Afrin province on Sunday, stepping up a 2-day-old campaign against the YPG fighters that have opened a new front in Syria's civil war.
And cross-border shelling with the ground
amidst U.S. support.
On Sunday. More than 70 planes conducted sorties with all aircraft now reported back at
there we go. I think Scott.
Campaign, which Ankara has deemed anti-terrorism, has been named Operation Olive Branch. It's aimed at ousting Kurdish militia from Afrin, which has been held by them for 5 years.
I think Scotty was just getting it set up.
It started on its own. I'm sorry. I thought I stopped it. Sorry about that.
Okay. So we're going to jump into what's in the news, and then we'll get to that. So Scotty's got a cue, so just give us a second. We'll get to that. So check out that article, and I'm going to just say this. Major story with this, because the overall expansion of World War III, and it's into its 4th day today, has definitely started. And so Turkey has officially invaded Syria. And this has the overall real confusion and real deliberate move towards the global war really kicking off. So check out that article. Next article, got this from your Newswire. U.S. military press conference, prepare for World War III with Russia. This was a little older one, but I wanted to come back to it to let you know what's going on. Next article was from military.com. Even though the overall government shutdown has been delayed for 3 weeks, this was from military.com. Mattis, pay maintenance training to halt in government shutdown. And they're going to be back at that in 3 weeks. Next article from Sputnik News. Over 1 million U.S. military personnel to serve unpaid if the government shutdown continued, which they ended temporarily yesterday. Next article for all you sushi lovers. Please back away from the sushi. Back away from the sushi. I got this one from the South China Morning Post. You know who all of you are. Please back away from the sushi. Let me real quick. This is from the South China Morning Post. Man who ate sushi every day had a 1.6 meter tapeworm in his gut. A California man's diet a California man's daily sushi habit ended in a tapeworm in a trip to the hospital with a stomach churning item to show doctors. A 1.6 meter tapeworm wiggled out of his body. And it didn't wiggle out of his mouth. It came out of his bottom. All right, y'all. Enough on the sushi. But check out that article. Next article comes from Press TV. This one is Russia blames the U.S. for fueling tensions in Syria. The Russian Defense Ministry has accused the U.S. of fueling tensions in northern Syria by supplying arms to militant groups. The Pentagon uncontrolled deliveries to modern weapons to the pro-U.S. militants in the north of Syria contributed to the rapid escalation of tensions and prompted the Turkey special operations. The war, y'all. The war is real. Next article from Global Times. China vows necessary measures in the South China Sea. Global Times. U.S. warships. Move this down. U.S. warship provocative sailings into the South China Sea will only serve to force China to strengthen its defense capabilities, says an analyst of the USS. Says an analyst after the USS Hopper, a guided missile destroyer, came within 12 nautical miles of South Sea of China Island. So check out that article. Major. We got a lot to get through, so I want to hurry up. Next article. This was from CNBC. From Nothing But Criminals News. Facebook is a living, breathing criminal scene, says one former tech insider. Check out that article. Of course it is. Who created it? Get off of FedBook, y'all. Next article from Russia Insiders. Russia added a record 223 tons of gold to reserves in 2017. The Russian central bank added 300,000 ounces, 9.3 tons of gold to its reserves in December, bringing the total acquisition of precious metals in 2017 to a record 223 tons of gold. Very, very important article. You need to know. You need to be doing the same. Or you can do that by going to Prosperity Mint, www.prosperitymint, PROSPERITYMINT.com, and transfer your cash into real money. Next article from Russia Insider. Move over, Fort Knox. Russia shows off its vast gold reserves. This was a big slap. And when they release how much gold they have, the rest of the world will be dropping the U.S. dollar majorly. It's no secret that Russia has been stacking the shiny physical for years. And here's a glimpse showing exactly how they stack it. Photos from the main gold storage of the Central Bank of Russia. Almost 1,800 tons of gold is stored there. Check out that article. Next article from the New York Times. Of course, this is by this company. If you know who runs this company, you hear why. You know why I say that. Amazon Go, a store of the future. Why would you support it? So check out that article. I don't want to even go into that one already. Well, no. The first clues of there's something unusual about Amazon stores. The future, let me move this down. Of the future hint, you're right at the front door. It feels as if you're entering a subway station. A row of gates guard the entry to the store, known as Amazon Go, allowing only people with store smartphone apps. Check out that article. No one else working in it. Check out that article. Next article from the Telegraph. British 15-year-old gains access to intelligence operation in Afghanistan and Iran by pretending to be the head of the CIA. Courts hears. Gamble, who is now 18, later posted sensitive information on Twitter about WikiLeaks and taunted officials about his access, sometimes using the tag Free Palestinian and claiming it was because the U.S. government was killing innocent people. Check out that article of The Hacking Thing is Real. Next article from the Washington Post. I got this one from the Washington Post. Trump asked Moon to give him credit for pressuring North Korea into talks. Man, huge story. Even before he was elected, South Korean President Moon Jae-in was vowed to take the driver's seat in a global effort to deal with North Korea. But the inter-Korean talks have shown this week, but as the inter-Korean talks have shown this week, it's clearly Kim Jong-un who's steering, though Moon could fairly claim to be riding shotgun. Now, check out that article. Also, huge one there is that celebrity figurehead is trying to get President Trump is trying to get credit for that. And what's really happening is that the Koreas are, in my opinion, unifying, which means the only way that the Koreas can unify is if they kick the U.S. out. And and the reason for doing that is because Korea will be a world power economically and militarily. With North Korea having nukes, now they're nuclear capable with the overall economic strength of the South. Excuse me, had to grab something to drink. Very, very, very important. That's what's happening. You need to know because that will adversely affect you if you're not prepared for that. And we want you to be prepared for that. Why we're going to be having the summit in April. All right. Next article from Sputnik News. Seoul demands explanation for North Korea over canceling visit for Olympic preparation. But I think the North Korea did show up. I think we got an article from that today. Next article comes from express.co.uk, which is a British publication. North Korea warning, signals under Mount Mantap sparks imminent nuclear test alert. The last of the 5-6 nuclear tests have been carried out under the Mount near Pungji Rai in country's northwest. A U.S. think tank said the tunnel has been stepped up at the nuclear test site despite improved relationships in the region following the restart of long-stalled inter-Korean dialogue. I don't think South Korea has a problem with North Korea anymore having nukes or testing them because they know they're going to need it for when they unify to keep the U.S. off the back. Check out that article. Next article from Cerebrally Naive Network, commonly referred to as CNN, making North Korea great again. How realistic are Kim Jong-un's New Year's plans? It was when the North Korean leader set out his aim for the coming year. And this story is, move this. And this year it reaps almost instant results with the start of the first face-to-face talks with Seoul in almost 2 years. Check out that article. Next article got from the anti-media. Saudi Arabia asked all 9/11 lawsuits to be dropped. Check out that article. I'm going to hurry up. I won't read the underlines, so check that out. Next article from Sovereign Man. Social Security Social Security proposes immediate and permanent reductions in benefits. That's huge. Check out that article. Next article, my man Rise posted this one. This one came from Newsweek. Deutsche Bank is willing to report Jared Kushner's suspicious transactions to Robert Mueller. Report says. Huge story. Why? Because remember what Germany did, and Deutsche Bank is one of the largest banks in Germany. This is the breakup of NATO. This is the overall purge of the U.S. that the rest of the world is going through. Major. Great article, Rise. Next article from Rise. He got this one. The worst thing about 1 year of Trump, fascism of cable news. Fascination of cable news. So check out that article. Real good one there. Next one from Rise. Got this one from DNA. Pakistan asked sleeper cells in India to attack. Oh, man. This is the other side of World War III that is definitely going to happen. Let me just read this real quick. Great article, Rise. Central Intelligence Agency, meaning that they're probably the sleeper cells is doing it, Central Intelligence Agency have encrypted a message sent to sleeper cells associated with few Tamsians and Marquesans to carry out attacks on immediate basis forget funding from the Middle East countries. This comes after Pakistan faces huge casualties in the international border, IB, and India has had a visit of associated of South Asian Nation, also known the Association of South Asian Nations, also known as ASEAN, countries to schedule during Republic Day celebrations. It was kind of mixed up there, but this is huge. This is going to spark. This is definitely going to be one of the things that sparks the overall global war paradigm. Because once the Middle East goes, India and Pakistan go to war, and then India and China go to war, forget about it. Doesn't matter what the U.S. is doing. It's over there. But it's also going to spark in the Korean Peninsula, in Djibouti, in Eurasia, in the Ukraine, in Russia, in Syria, also in Africa, which we said on the continent, and probably in the Libya area, and definitely in the South Sea of China and Central and South America. So things are really ramping up. Okay, sorry about that. This article, YouTube video, was where Alaska had a large I think it was a 7.9 earthquake off the coast. So the ring of fire on this side is getting hot. Hopefully the San Andreas doesn't go. It had an actual earthquake last week, I believe, on the San Andreas in Mexico. Hopefully that baby doesn't go. Next article I got this one from This Can't Be Happening. South Korea slips off the leash. Sorry about that. South Korea slips off the leash. This can't be happening. The Trump administration and the U.S. military aren't happy that the Korea's new president is having South Korea and North Korea talks one-on-one. It upset the power relationship the U.S. has maintained over South Korea for almost 3/4 of a century. This is huge. We definitely want to. This is true. I don't know if we're going to get to this article, but it's a major one. Next article from Sputnik News. This is the one I was telling about. North Korea delegates arrive in South Korea to inspect the Olympic Village. Next article, major, from Sputnik News. Turkey's operation in northern Syria, day 4, roundup. Next article, this one comes from Newsweek. China has warned the U.S. will suffer complete humiliation if Washington continues to sail in the South Sea of China. And the next article was the same from Global Times. And then the last article comes from Russia Today International. Israeli pilots refuse to fly amnesty seekers to their death amidst deportation of Africans. Israeli pilots are taking a stand against celebrity figurehead Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel mission to expel tens of thousands of African migrants from the country, publicly declaring that they will not deport refugees to their death. The government is forcing this is another major. All these things destabilize and are the hidden turnings of major events that are going to be unfolding here coming forward. So over the weekend, we're going to get ready to go to the YouTube video. Hold on one second. I think we got a caller in queue. 1 second. Let me see if we do. Let me see. Okay, no. So over the weekend, major events started to happen. Those of you that had family members in the military, and those of you that have family members that are military capable or eligible, major things are starting to really pick up, as we already told you about. But what I want to do is that over the weekend, Turkey had invaded Syria, and that could definitely spark an all-out war. And I want you all to just hear something really quickly from RT News about the overall events, and then we're going to get into today's show. So, Scott, if you would just play that 10-minute video real quick, I want you to hear what's going on, because they're not telling you this anywhere else. They may be, but it's still my obligation to let you know what's happening. So, Scotty, when you're ready, you can play that video.
Turkey has begun a military operation on Syria's Kurdish-held region of Afrin, launching airstrikes and cross-border shelling, with a ground invasion expected on Sunday. More than 70 planes conducted sorties, with all aircraft now reported back at base in Turkey. The campaign, which Ankara has deemed anti-terrorism, has been named Operation Olive Branch. It's aimed at ousting Kurdish militia from Afrin, which has been held by them for 5 years. Turkish cross-border shelling of the area began Friday. RT's Paula Sleer has been following developments.
At least 8 F-16s have been firing from the skies, while on the ground you have the Turkish-backed Syrian opposition rebels who have moved into this enclave. Now, it is an enclave that is controlled by the Kurdish militia, the YPG. From the ground, we're also hearing that the Free Syrian Army have been arriving in buses as well as in trucks that have been fitted out with machine guns. We are receiving reports in terms of the civilian situation there, and there we're hearing that people have been ordered to retreat into their homes and into shelters, but there are reports coming through of people who have been wounded and injured and who are being taken to the local hospital. Now, all of this follows threats over the last few days by the Turkish President Erdogan that he was going to launch a ground offensive into Afrin. It was really just a question of when, and he said that this was really the only answer to root out what he has called terrorist elements there. Take a listen.
The Afrin operation has de facto been started on the ground. This will be followed by Manbij. The promises about Manbij have not been kept, so nobody has a right to say anything.
Now, Manbij is an area that is mostly Arab. It is west of the Euphrates, and it is the next step in terms of the Turkish military's way of dealing with the Kurdish militia. It is not far from the area that the army has entered now, so that is where all eyes are turning for the immediate future.
The Turkish foreign minister has posted a tweet saying the country launched the offensive against Syrian Kurdish militias exercising its right to self-defence. He added Ankara's actions are strictly in keeping with international law. He went on to stress the operation doesn't target civilians, but aims only to take out terrorist groups. RT's Igor Zdanov broke down the distribution of forces for us and what brought Turkey to Syria in the first place.
This is what the situation on the ground in Syria looks like right now. Afrin, the region where the Turks are carrying out their military operation. The area highlighted in green is where the Turkey-backed rebels are, to a certain extent at least. They are helping Ankara from the ground. Red are the Syrian army, the Syrian army guys. They don't have any problem with the Kurds, but they do have a problem with these guys, because this is the area, the green area is also the region which harbors Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or Nusra, a terrorist organization. And finally here you have Manbij. It is a city also controlled by the Kurds, and it could be Turkey's game plan. Erdogan has already said that after he's done with Afrin, Manbij is next. This operation hardly came out of the blue, you know. The Kurds have been historically a major thorn in Turkey's side. But what catalyzed things now was the Pentagon saying they are going to create a so-called Syrian border force.
The coalition is working jointly with the Syrian Democratic Forces to establish and train the new Syrian Border Security Force. Currently, there are approximately 230 individuals training in the BSF's inaugural class, with the goal of a final force size of approximately 30,000.
One very precise description of America's intentions there. By that point, Turkey had had enough. Ankara beefed up its forces on the Syrian border, deployed tanks, and President Erdogan vowed to destroy, quote, this terrorist force before Washington even has a chance to create it. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson tried to do some damage control, saying that the situation has been misportrayed, misdescribed, and that some people misspoke. Well, that wasn't nearly enough to contain Turkey's fury. Ankara has been keeping the United States in the loop about the operation against Washington's supposed ally. America, which arguably pitted Turkey against the Kurds, has now called on them to focus on the fight with ISIL, pretty much the same as saying it's every man for himself in this conflict. Turkey has also notified Syria about the action, which Damascus is not happy about at all. Russia, in its turn, has been cautious and called for all parties to pull the punches.
The main reason behind the developing crisis in this part of Syria is the provocative steps taken by the United States, which were aimed at isolating areas with predominantly Kurdish populations. Uncontrolled deliveries by the Pentagon of modern weapons to pro-American formations in northern Syria contributed to the rapid escalation of tension in the region and led to a special operation by Turkish troops.
Loose lips sink ships, they say. Well, this time we're looking at a potential all-out war. Igor Zhdanov, RT.
And I can bring in now Yaşar Yakus, who's the former Turkish foreign minister and former ambassador to the UN. Pleasure to have you on this evening. I was interested, how far do you think Mr Erdogan is going to go? Is this going to be confined to northern Syria, or could this offensive become much more large-scale?
Well, if it is the entire northern Syria, it's already too big. It started it was going to start with Afrin, but later on other places were added, such as Manbij, that's to say the area which is already under the Turkish military control, but the city of Manbij was not captured. This time, I understand that Turkey is determined to enter Manbij as well, and from there go to the east of Euphrates, which is where there are Kurdish cantons actually of Kobane and Jazira.
Russia is saying that it was America's policies towards the Kurds in northern Syria that really were the catalyst to leading up to this assault from Turkey. Would you put responsibility for what's happening on Washington or not?
Yes, to a very large extent, because if the United States was not going to arm Kurds, Turkey wouldn't have arrived to the point where it is. And Turkey tried to draw the attention of an ally, a NATO ally, that you should not arm and train and provide ammunition to a terrorist group which is linked to the dangerous PKK terrorist organization in Turkey, because Turkey regards the YPG, which is the military branch of PYD, that's to say the strongest Kurdish political party in Syria. And Turkey wanted United States to stop this supply of arms, but United States, using several excuses, continued to supply, and this is where we arrived at this point today.
Where's this going to take Turkey-US relations, do you think? Will they remain strategic partners? It seems like things are getting worse between the two.
Actually, the United States tried to wash its hands by saying that it has no military presence in Afrin specifically. But if first of all, there may be many people armed and equipped and trained by the United States in Afrin also, but the American presence, military presence in Afrin may be absent. This may be understandable, but if Turkey continues the military operation and carries it to Manbij and to the east of Euphrates, then it will come across with the Americans. I mean, two allies will be fighting in a third country. This is something that is not acceptable normally in an alliance.
And what reaction do you anticipate on the part of Iran here?
Iran may keep silent, but of course, you may have noticed that the interest of Ankara and Damascus are also converging on this particular issue of Kurdish arming the Kurds in the north, and Kurds asking for autonomous region or federated region, and this is against the wish of the Damascus. So Ankara and Damascus come closer to each other on that point, but of course Iran has another agenda. For Iran, it is the continuation of the regime in Damascus, whereas Turkey's interest with Damascus only coincides and becomes convergent on the question of arming of Kurds. Beyond that, there is no convergence of interest between Damascus and Ankara, while there is continued convergence of interest between Iran and Damascus beyond what is happening now in Afrin.
Yashar, I appreciate your time. My guest this hour, Yashar Yildiz, is a former Turkish foreign minister.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Are you thoroughly confused yet by what's going on there? Okay, in my opinion, let me give you what I see. Very, very important. There's a lot of key things there that actually signals the overall movement in further acts towards World War III. Here's what's really happening, in my opinion. Syria economy going forward in the future, and global economy going forward is not what we think about in 2-week terms, because everything we do is in 2-week terms. The global economy projection and trend or forecasting is 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years down the way. And so in this next phase, there are critical countries there are countries that are going to be critical. Of Africa, being the Horn of Africa, being Libya, being Nigeria, being South Africa, and other on the continent that will be critical in the next economic structure, that being asset-based one. Syria is critical. Iran is critical. Iraq is critical. Saudi Arabia is not critical. But here's why North Korea. But if you look at some of North Korea. Let's take a look at some of the critical places. The Koreas are critical. Libya is critical. Look what's happening there. The Ukraine is critical. Look what's happening there. Ukraine is critical because of the gas line and food. Venezuela is critical. Look what is happening there. Destabilized. So there are many places in the world. Pakistan and India are critical. The South Sea of China is critical. And if you look at where and like I said, the Korean Peninsula is critical. If you look at where all the critical things going forward in the new economy, you'll see U.S. presence there aggravating and trying to have a U.S. hegemony over that area.
I have friends out here that came to see me entertain them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Let me see. That's okay. And because of that, you can see the overall structure of demise that's there. So let's focus here on Syria real quickly and why you should care about it. Syria is critical for the new economy because of the gas pipelines that will be moving through. And so northern Syria, adjacent and close to Iran, is critical for that. And what did the U.S. do? The U.S. invaded Syria. They invaded Syria. They just didn't announce it. Any country that moves in with their military in another country is what? An invasion. But we don't call it as that. when the U.S. does it. And the people here don't buy it, and they don't see the turmoil and problems that they're going to create. That's because you're the real target. And when this thing comes full face, when the rest of the world evicts the U.S., they're going to be evicting you too. Syria is critical. So what the U.S. did, and all of that confusion with with YGK, and all of that, it's so many different, groups. YPG, and so many different groups and everything else, and they purposely want it as confusing as possible, because within the confusion brings plausible deniability. Here's what's happening in Syria. The U.S. arms the Kurds that have strong fighting relationships with Turkey. Turkey in return tells Syria we're going to bomb them because they're a threat to us because of terrorism. Syria says, no, they're in our country, on the border, they're in our country, you can't do that. Because Syria knows what's really happening. So the U.S. aggravates this. They supply YPG with weapons. Syria sees that. Turkey sees that and has to respond to it, so they invade. Now when they destabilize that whole area, guess what's going to happen? The U.S. is going to say, we need to stabilize this whole thing and put our troops there. Now Syria is completely, they put their invading forces everywhere in Syria. And then to do what? To control the overall pipeline. And they're going to tell Syria what's in their best interest and say that we're invading you, but we don't mean you any harm. But that's not what the true intentions is. They're there to take over, and to take over by decapitation of the government itself. So the U.S. aggravated and instigated this overall by pushing these buttons so that they could put their troops on the northern border as well as they have them on the southern border. Now they control Syria. But Iran, China, and Russia are not going to allow the U.S. to do it. This is why this thing is going to turn into an all-out war on multiple fronts. On multiple fronts. Very, 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 very critical. You heard them say that they were going to want to. I see your question, Scotty. I'll come to you in 1 second. This is all intentionally meant to be confusing, but here's what the overall objective is. The U.S. has invaded Syria, but it needs to completely invade Syria without the world noticing, because its overall financial wherewithal depends on Syria, the Korean Peninsula, South Sea of China, Venezuela, Libya, the Ukraine, and Djibouti and the Horn of Africa. Critical. Excuse me, not the Horn of Africa, I'm sorry. The Middle East. Didn't mean the Horn of Africa, excuse me. So, my man Scotty says he has a question, so let me go to Scotty real quick. Go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah, what I'm confused about, Dave, is, okay, why would Syria not want Turkey to go after the Kurds, considering that the Kurds, from the beginning of this, going back to when the USA start through the CIA and the U.S. Military, what they call it, military industrial, military intelligence started arming the Kurds to create different battlefronts in Syria against the legitimate Syrian government. So the Kurds had also want to carve out a space in Syria to, just like they want to do in Turkey, to have their own country. And so if I'm Syria and you're going after someone who's getting weapons from the U.S., who's been trying to overthrow me for quite some time now, then I will be looking like that as the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Why would Syria not give them permission to take out a force that's going to be used against them in the future. That's just kind of confusing to me. And then it's also, I think, destabilizing NATO alliance, because Turkey is supposed to be an ally of the United States through the NATO alliance. But, you know, we know how the U.S. treats its allies, because Libya was an ally in the war on terror when they overthrew Libya. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, and it's purposely done that way. And I tell you why Syria doesn't want Turkey involved in it. Because Turkey is a bordering country, and they know what Turkey wants to do. Turkey wants to get control of that overall pipeline, and they're using the Kurds as their way to do it. Syria wants to get rid of the Kurds as well, but they want to do it on their terms in their country. And so, and like you were saying, Turkey is a NATO nation. They don't know which way Turkey is going to go, because Erdogan is, you know, he is both bipolar by political or schizophrenic by political, bipolar by political standings, because you don't know which way he's going to go. And I think that's all a ploy, because they don't want a NATO nation in their nation. Then they have to engage that NATO nation. And then guess what? If a NATO nation ever gets attacked militarily, it is the obligation of NATO to come to them. That's what the treaty is, regardless of relationship. They have to come to their aid. So Syria knows that Turkey is being used as a ploy to get the U.S. troops engaged in the war against Syria, and to position themselves in that critical area of Syria. And they don't want, they're trying to expel U.S. troops out of Syria, them and the Russians right now. So Russia is playing it by ear. They're pulling back a little bit, but reassessing because they know when they come back, they're going to have to come back in fully committed to the overall military engagements, meaning military engagement with the U.S., which has already started when they tried to drone bomb that Syrian air base. And guess what? They want Iran and China to be in better position, because that's where the overall support is going to come from. The allies are going to be Syria, Iran, China, and I'm going to add a couple more. Iraq is going to support, in my opinion, China and Russia, in Iran and Syria. And here comes the big one. Germany is going to support them as well, in my opinion. That is going to break up NATO, and that's where it's going to really, really fall apart. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, your 13-year-old daughters, 12-year-old daughters are going to be moving towards war. And Mr. Otis says, question on Pakistan. I'm not quite sure what that question is, Brother Griffin. So if you would just be a little more specific, I will definitely want to answer that question. So listen, we got a couple of callers in queue. I don't want to keep those callers waiting, but we need to get to a commercial break. Yes. Brother Griffin said that Pakistan is anti-U.S. also. Yes. And that's another nuclear country that's anti-U.S. And that whole thing is falling apart. And Pakistan is critical, because without Pakistan's support, the U.S. has very, very difficult supply lines. And those supply lines are going to supply their troops. And those supply lines are critical, but they're going to be even more influential, because Pakistan has already cut those routes off. Now it's going to be even more expensive for the U.S. to get supplies to its troops. So what does that mean? They're sending them to slaughter. Totally sending them to slaughter. And they won't be coming back. They'll be left there in country, not being able to get back to the States. Could you imagine what that's going to look like? So listen, everyone, get ready to go to a commercial break. You're listening to Tando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We got a couple of callers in queue. I'm going to go to you. So just give us a second. And when we come back, we're going to look at this even further. because we need to talk about how this is definitely going to affect you and what you should be looking for. You're listening to Tando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Hi, the Black Talk Media Project would like to invite you to become a member of the BTR Community subscription-based social media platform. BTR Community is a platform that was set up for the listening audience of Black Talk Radio Network, the #1 independent black radio network online. For just $24 per year, your subscription gives you access to an interactive space to share information with like-minded people with your privacy guaranteed. Your subscription will go a long way to help us maintain and improve our current media platforms. It will also help provide a budget so that we can begin the task of establishing localized media centers and radio stations across the United States. The best way to show your support and appreciation for what we do here at Black Talk Radio is to subscribe. Help us to help you be informed. Join btrcommunity.com today.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to Tando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025. For the callers that are in queue, if you could, when we're in our commercial break and when we're waiting for you to come on, if you could just watch your background noise, you could unmute yourself and then mute your phone until we call on you. That would be greatly appreciated so that we don't have the background interruptions. So very, very important. Okay, so one thing Scotty had posted inside of the chat room, well, Trump is cutting funds to Pakistan, but they were because they were faking allies to begin with, because they were flaky allies to begin with. Yeah, they definitely was. So because they are in battle in a major cultural and territorial dispute with India, who is one of the few true still allies of the U.S. that I think will also flip towards the end. So we got a couple of callers in queue. 1 second. Moves real quick. Okay, so we got a couple of callers in queue. We got a caller out of Mississippi. Welcome to Tando Radio Show, caller. What is your name? What is your question or comment?
This is Tommy out of Mississippi. Hi, Radio Land.
Hey, brother. How you doing, Tommy? Welcome to Tando Radio Show.
Thank you. I guess I have a question and a statement as well. You know, when this thing, they call this Arab Spring first started, and they was trying to box Assad in, we, which is the United States, armed the ISIS forces. And we did that heavily, we did. And I watched this on some front line that they was dropping supplies at the sky, and they was picking them up with their flags and all that was being staged. But my point is that the Kurds really wasn't in that fight early in the game. They was armed. The United States was arming the ISIS to take Assad out, and when that didn't work and they turned against the U.S., they winded up arming the Kurds, and I think that's what got Turkey so bent all out of shape about this matter, because there's 2 or 3 sets of Kurds. Some is in Turkey, some is in Syria, and some is in Iraq. And the ones that's in Syria, actually, in my opinion, they saved Assad's neck, because they were the one beat the ISIS back, you know, along with the U.S. forces. So the United States didn't play both ends against the middle so long until, you know, that's the price you pay when you two-faced it. And thank y'all for listening.
Yeah, Tommy, thank you for the call. And I would agree in just with a lot of what you said. Yes, is very, very complex. And let me tell you why it's so complex, ladies and gentlemen, because that has everything to do with controlling of resources. And they don't want to be overt in controlling of those resources. And Syria is critical to the economic because of the natural gas pipeline that's going to go through Syria. And where it has to go, oh, man, it has to go through the north because there's going to be natural gas pipeline, and that pipeline is going to be connecting it to Iran. And that pipeline has to go through Syria. So if you want to control the economy going forward, these people understand the importance of you control the economy, you make the economy beholden to you by control of resources. Very, very, very important. So, Tommy, great call, brother. Give us a call back anytime that you feel great information, great statement and comment. Definitely would love to hear from you in the future. We got another caller in queue. We got my man Thomas out of NYC. Thomas, what's going on, brother? Go ahead.
Peace, Dave. What's up, bro?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Oh, I'm a little tired, but I'm okay, man. I had your theory, man. I got a lot of moving parts, man. I don't know about that one, man. But I will say this: have you ever seen the U.S. say they were going after a president and they not get him? So Assad's gonna go. It's just a matter of time. They're going to get him. I mean, they don't let anything go past too long. I did have a question for Scotty, though. I hate to deter, but I did want to know if Scotty saw the HR 1243.
Okay. So, Scotty, Thomas had a question for you. If you saw the HR, I didn't hear the numbers that my man Thomas has said.
1243.
1243, Scotty. So if you wanted to respond to that, if you can, if you're on cue, then definitely, Scotty, respond to them. While Scotty does that, I do not think that Assad is going anywhere. Reason being because Assad is too critical. Assad may go, but the overall Assad position is not going to go. One, Iran will not allow it to go. Iran is a nuclear nation. Two, Russia and China will not allow the Syrian position to leave, where the U.S. is going to where they allow the U.S. to put in there. The U.S. has already lost. They had when President Obama, when celebrity figurehead Obama was president, they sent the aircraft carriers, a naval armada over there. They were ready to engage Assad because they said that he was using chemical weapons, and the rest of the world said, hold up, no, he didn't, and the U.S. said, yes, he did. And what happened to the U.S. when Obama did the smart move is that he said, well, I'm gonna go to Congress because I don't think he really wanted to get involved in that as well. Well, I won't say that I don't know, but either way, he put it on Congress, and Congress.
The gentleman just said what they did. They sent in ISIS. And then Russia went and helped Assad.
Yeah, but what happened to ISIS? It got kicked out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Got totally. Huh?
But now they on Plan B. Turkey.
They on who?
Plan B, Turkey.
Yeah. And if you know anything about the Ottoman Empire, boy, you better bring your hat if you're going to try to get them. Remember when the U.S. actually had the coup attempt in Turkey? What happened there was just a year and a half ago. They got smacked. They got totally smacked. I do not see the thing was when Obama went to Congress and asked them to allow the U.S. to engage militarily in Syria, what did Russia do? It sent their whole naval black fleet to protect Assad. It wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. in London, the Parliament, the British Parliament said, U.S., you out your mind. We are not supporting you. Go kick rocks. And then what happened? That whole thing fell apart. That whole thing fell apart. It's not so much about Assad, is that Russia, China, and Iran, all three are nuclear-capable countries, are going to allow Assad or the Syrian position to be kicked out of there, because to do that means that their overall economies will be controlled continuously by the U.S. U.S. can't afford, it can't fund, it can't beat any of those countries anymore, especially if they unify, which they are. And they'll fight each other later on after, but right now, no way in the world. This whole thing, this is where the U.S. empire goes. The U.S. empire has already fallen. Now it becomes dismantled, disassembled. And this is one of the key things that is going to disassemble it. So I can actually see them carrying out an assassination on Assad. That may happen, yes, but the overall Syrian position won't be moved. They won't be able to put a puppet there. They won't be able to move that whole, no way in the world. Those countries will not allow that to happen, because they haven't allowed that to happen. You know how many times they tried to kill Assad already? Plenty. You know how many times they tried to destabilize and take over Syria? It's been the overall hidden plan for many years. Go listen back to Wesley Clark's, a former general, with the overall U.S. plan of attack going forward, what countries they were going to invade. Here was the problem with Libya. Libya had no nukes or no nuclear-capable allies that were bordering them that had a vested interest in their overall survivability. So they were exposed. Assad's not exposed at all. So this is why Syria continues, and it's going to, and I'm going to tell you, they're playing it like a great, great game of Go. They're playing it so well. The U.S. is overextending itself. And so U.S. forces, military forces are extended all over the world. There was just an article that a former general said, they're killing our kids. They're killing these young people. We posted inside the Tando radio show. So the U.S. no longer has the capabilities. And I think that's all a part of the system. They can't do it. Just like in Korea. They can't do it in Korea. They can't get rid of Kim Jong-un. They especially can't get rid of him now. So it's a ugly situation. But yeah, it's one that's going to evolve. And I'm waiting for Scotty. Brother Griffin had posted a couple of things inside of the chat room. And let me check out what he was saying. Let me see. Current SOS, both ends are covered. If the Syrian pipeline fails, Exxon has a deal with Russia already. If the Syrian pipeline fails, Exxon has a deal with Russia already. And great point there, Otis. I don't think that pipeline is going to fail. That natural gas line is not going to an American or Exxon. It's going to Gazprom. It's going to Resneft. It's going to the Russian ones. It's going to the Iranian ones. And China's influence is going to have there. Yeah, great point. Also, and Scotty's response to you, Thomas, he says, tell him no, I didn't see it. Otis' response after that, white helmets are a British fronted group. They lie on a poison gas attack. Right. So he put some other stuff here real quick. Pro-Rich Wolf said China sold 24 million cars, comparable to 17 million for the U.S., and 1 in 5 cars sold in China were American. He said the U.S. corporations are about to pivot to China and are playing the U.S. citizens. The new future growth and profit is in China. Absolutely right, Griffin. And this is the thing. The new sweatshops, the new slave labor camps, the new workforce camps, the new debt prisons are going to be here in the United States like never, ever seen before. So, very, very good point. Yes, the whole world. That's why they're bringing back. That's why they're bringing back all these jobs here, because they're not going to be paying anyone any living wages. My man Otis Grist said Secretary Tillerson, and he was talking about, and Tillerson, remember, was a CEO of, I think it was Exxon. Exxon won't lose. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, great point. But yeah, they've already lost that. And if you look at some of the history of that, that's what happened in Syria, is that when Gaddafi, when they took over from the coup, they kicked out Chevron and they kicked out the other American oil companies, and that's where the Hunt brothers had a big exposure there. The Texas gas mogul family had a big position there, and what did they do? They made a deal with Gaddafi. And man, did they almost change the world. They almost changed your world for the better and was just short of making that happen. So check out that. All right, let me see. Any other callers in queue? No other callers in queue? Oh, yeah, we do. We got we got another caller in queue is OG. Because I don't, he doesn't say his name. So if he says his name, then I'll start saying his name. Brother OG, welcome to Tando Radio Show. What is your question or comment, brother?
Yes, Dave, it's Otis. It's just, I redid my computer.
Otis.
I was logging in. Yeah, man.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
What I was trying to make clarification on when I was talking about Tillerson, before he got confirmation as Secretary of State, I was following the northern pipeline that Russia wanted to put through Ukraine because they were trying to supply natural gas to Europe. That's why I say Exxon is not going to lose, because even though Tillerson, quote, is not running it anymore, he's the one that actually secured all of the deal with the Russian petrol industry to secure that pipeline. He only stopped, once he became the Secretary of State here. He's supposedly no longer involved in that, but that's why I say Exxon is not going to lose, because they're hedging their bet. If there's too long a delay in going to the Syria pipeline, they're going to find a way to okay the deal with Russia. Right now, it's on hold because of all the crap going on with the Democrats playing that Russia. Love your work, man.
Love your comments, love your input. Yeah, and what Otis is saying is right, that there was, in the Ukraine is critical, because the Ukraine is where Resnex and Gazprom brings gas to Europe. This is why Germany is switching, and wherever Germany goes, France has to go. And where do they have to go? They have to go to Russia for their gas. So, critical point, Exxon is making inroads, but Exxon, and I do agree with what you're saying as far as Exxon, but the U.S. and Exxon are two different corporations, two different entities, two different objectives. And they make their deals from the standpoint of they don't ever want to lose out on everything, and they are going to go with the winner. Exxon will be in partnership with the Russians, Gazprom and Resnex. Why? Because they want to exist, and they're going to exist. The U.S. won't. And so, yeah, I totally agree and to me, remember how when Tillerson became the celebrity figurehead Secretary of State, they were all talking about how he's already had good relationships with Russia. That's what Otis is talking about. Absolutely right. Have good relationships for them to maintain control, not for the U.S. to win it all. Exxon corporations, they wash their hands of nationalism. They are in fascism. Big difference. Or national identity. So, and what I mean by that is American corporate. No, corporations are involved in fascism, where they tell the government what to do. That's what they're all about. So, yes, I totally agree, Otis, and I'm glad you called in and made that point. from there. So anytime, Otis, give us a call. Love your input. Love all of our callers' input. So informative, and these are the things that we need to know. Why is this so important? And as I was saying before we went into the commercial break, for those of us that have 12-year-old young ladies in our families, they are setting everything up for them to go to war and to fight that war, because this war is going to be in their time. In their time, they may not even have to be 18 years old to do it. Remember, in Sputnik News, the U.S. new defense strategy works with diplomats or deal with military. That's the U.S. strategy now. Why? Why do you do that when you are no longer have any influence? It's either us or war. And guess what the rest of the world is saying? And what happens is this: the U.S. is like, I'm going to bite you. And the rest of the world are looking at all of the rotten and falling out teeth of the U.S. and they're saying, what? So very, very, very important. And so this sets up everything for our the young people, our young people, to be caught up in this war paradigm. And this war paradigm, when they get caught up in this war paradigm, they are not coming back. Look at, there was the article that we posted about how overextended the U.S. military is, and actually there was the American Conservative .com. There was a article, the American Conservative .com. We're killing these kids. We're breaking the army. Our soldiers are still redeploying at a frenzied pace. They can't keep up with reality, and the cracks are showing. And this came out on the 17th of January. I'll admit I was taken aback. The senior officer and mentor, with nearly 28 years of military service. Let me see. He believes that what he is seeing, he believes what he was saying to be just then. We're killing these kids. We're breaking the army, he exclaimed. He went on to explain that the competing requirements for standards, conventional war units, to say nothing of the overstretched special forces in 2018, balancing Russia in Eastern Europe, deterrent rotations in South Korea, advise and assist missions in Africa added to the deployments to the usual hotspots of Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He was genuinely concerned about the physical and emotional toll on the active duty forces. Let's stop right there. And they're going to put the rest of the young people in that active duty rotational war paradigm, but the overall the theater of war is going to expand. It's not going to be campaigns. It's going to be all-out war, and they overextended themselves. This is how you destroy an empire strategically and asymmetrically. You get their overall military, regardless how strong their military was. It's very easy to break a strong military. Just have them at war forever. They will be worn, torn, and exhausted. And they can't do it anymore. Absolutely can't do it anymore. The human body can't do it anymore. Post-traumatic stress disorder is real. With everything else that goes along, you have no fitting candidates for war. You've broken. This is a part of the depopulation program. So the setup is real. And today's show, I wanted to really highlight one thing, how the rest of the world is really getting tired of the U.S. and what that really means. Because now is the time that the rest of the world can stand up to the U.S. and say, you know what, no more. That's it. We had it. Because that's what the system has always wanted to perpetuate. Because when it does that, it stays in control. and we don't look at what really is ailing us and what is really, really threatening us. And what really, really is threatening us is that the system continues to create empires so that they can implode them on their call and at our expense, which is extremely dangerous because that's nothing more than a depopulation program. So it's here, and it's going to continue to affect our young people. But not only is it going to affect our young people, it's actually going to affect everyone. Everyone. And how it's going to affect everyone is this. The overall standard of living and quality of life is going to change here. Along with the stress of the young being at war, not coming back at all. That's going to break families. That is going to take away from the family's ability to have the necessary energy to get what they need. This is one of the steps that you take in rapidly depopulating a region or segment of the global population. It's the preferred way because people run into it and volunteer for it under the overall idolatry of the nation, when there was never a nation that was ever truly constructed the way that we've been told. It is definitely a industrial plantation that's been established. And that is what we're all contending with. And as the young people go off to war, never to come back. And as the young people go off to war, never to come back. Let me tell you why I say that. Even if they're so lucky to come back physically, what they experience in that overall theater of war and what they'll be exposed to chemically and what they'll be, the toxins that they will be exposed to in all forms and fashions, they will never, ever be the same. They are not coming back the way they left. And they're not coming back better. They are coming back beyond damaged, beyond broken. They will be coming back almost damn near unsalvageable. Physically and mentally. Physically, they won't be able to have healthy children. And how many people in our community are in the military? You don't live in the free state, ladies and gentlemen. It's pay. And the pay that you always have to give is you have to give all of your energy to sustain the system, even to your own demise. And when you no longer can provide useful energy, it's time to practice the practice the procedures of genocide. This is why we always say, no one in today's world dies of natural causes or makes the transformation in natural causes. They're summarily murdered. The setup is here. So there's an article that I want to read to you, but if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call. And we need to be thoroughly prepared for this. Thoroughly prepared for this. As individuals, you need to be prepared for this as an individual first. Then I would say as a family, as a community, individual, family, and then as a community. And not everyone in your family, well, I'm going to say this, even getting you prepared, you're going to be fighting yourself against this. You're going to be fighting against, am I wasting my time? Is this really worth it? The normalcy bias, that's not going to happen. All of that's going to play in, so you're going to be battling yourself. The monkey mind syndrome is going to go into effect. Then it's the family that you go to. You're going to present it to them, and there's going to be a battle that's going to be there. Then you're going to present it to the community, and it's going to be even a bigger battle. This is why when you start to organize, it's going to be from a standpoint of just you first. It doesn't matter if anybody's with you. You don't need a darn person at all. Here's how you know that. You were born alone. You ultimately live this overall life alone. You're going to make the great transformation alone. The great creator made no mistake. But society tells you that you need this and you need that because they already know that if they can't get you, they can get the dog trained by another dog. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey follow you. So you have to make a decision for yourself first. Very, very, very important. So I'm going to go to another caller in queue. Then we're going to go to, I want to read this one article to you all just to encapsulate today's show. So without further ado, I want to go to my man, Brother Roz, that's in queue. Roz.
Hey,
we got 3 minutes. Good, my brother. We got like 3 minutes. So if you need to go over after the break, don't worry about it. We'll do it. We got 2 minutes, so we'll do that, and then we'll come to you right after the break anyhow. But go ahead and start, Roz.
No problem. Thank you, and peace to Scotty and Thomas and everybody else who chimes in, Otis, everybody. I sent you an article that I posted in the thread, and it's really interesting. It says, North Korea and U.S. clash at disarmament forum on nuke issues. I'm going to just read the blurb. In Geneva.
I missed that one.
It says the North Korea said on Tuesday it had a powerful and reliable nuclear deterrent to thwart any attack, accused the United States of deploying military assets nearby under the pretext of ensuring the security of the Winter Olympics. Quote, this is a dangerous act of throwing a wet blanket over the current positive atmosphere of inter-Korean relations. So Trump is asking the South Korean leader to give him credit for them coming together, and they're working to destroy it all at the same time. That's the Hegelian dialectic. Now, the other thing I wanted to drop on you briefly, and I was hoping Scotty saw it because I tagged him in it this morning. Before I went to work. This is completely off the subject, but something we've dealt with on your show before. And New Jersey said that they're about to put a law in effect that will allow transgender people to change their birth certificate to reflect their gender identity. And there's a process they have to go through, and they're also allowing people from other states that move to Jersey, or they can come to Jersey and do the same thing. So Sister Melancon, that project she's on is important because they said nothing about whether or not these transgender people have to disclose their real identity. Is the birth certificate allude to that in any way? None of this was discussed. Just the fact that they're going to allow them this ability to just change their gender on their birth certificate. They did say they have to submit a copy of the original birth certificate to the state, but that doesn't change the fact that they can do to other people what that guy did to Sister Melancon's son. So I think they're moving forward quite rapidly. This was first thing this morning, like 5:30 in the morning. So I just wanted to put that out there because they're moving forward quite fast. And if Jersey's allowing people to change their gender, which they did say in the news clip that I heard this morning, that means people are going to be flooding Jersey to change their birth certificate, potentially go to other parts of the country and tell people, oh, yeah, I was always a girl. And next thing you know, they actually had a penis before. So I just wanted to throw that out there, too, and I'll mute myself. Thank you.
Well, man, we're definitely going to touch on some of that stuff Roz has just brought up. No, I didn't hear that at all. So
hey, Dave, I guess
yeah, go ahead, Scotty.
I guess to Roz, a codified question to ask anyone that you are potentially going to date if they can have children.
Yep. Wow.
Brilliant.
It's really, but I'm gonna tell you, with this war set up, that's going to take care of a lot of that. Because the military is going to take everybody and send everybody. Whew, boy. What a world we live in. But listen, get ready to go through a commercial break. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, and see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. Brother Davis, definitely give us a call. Let us know about Wise Wednesday tomorrow. So you're listening to Dando Radio Show. When we come back, we need to touch on the world is now moving against the U.S. and sick and tired of them. We're going to read some of that. You're listening to Dando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Black Talk Radio since 2008, providing new black media for the masses.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Hit **. We'll see you in queue, and we'll definitely would love to hear from you, because a dialogue is much more important than a monologue. So just before we went to a commercial break, Roz called in and gave us two stories. One, the first one, I actually did read some and forgot about it, parts of it. And then the second one, had no clue about that, and about the transgender individuals being able to change their birth certificate, and to change their birth certificate to the overall gender of choice. And then Otis had sent in the chat room that started in Oregon back in June of 2017. Huge violation. Oregon became the first state to allow official third gender option, and he left the article there from The Guardian. Oregon's third gender option identity law. So, boy, it's gonna be tight, y'all. It's gonna be real tight. And so, one of the first thing Roz had talked about was I actually posted it as well. Where Trump wanted to take credit for the talks in North Korea. Between the Koreas. But here's what's critical about that whole thing. If you start to read stuff about North Korea and South Korea now, you're going to see the changing of the overall language. Here's what you're going to notice. It's going to say, and then Otis said Barack Obama's legacy. Yes. Celebrity figurehead Barack Obama's legacy. Here's what you're going to notice. Ready? They're going to say the inner Koreas. Inner Koreas means that the unification of Korea. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, when there's a unification of the Koreas, that means there is no longer a United States. No longer. We already know that the empire has already fallen. Now it's just going to be the receivership of what is commonly referred to as the United States being dispersed and redistributed globally. And that redistribution means you too. By region, by area, by assets, by energy, and capabilities. There's a article that I want to go over really quickly. Very, very important article, and it says a lot. Had it pulled up here. Hopefully it comes back up as soon as I clicked off of it. It's loading really slow. And this one I got from Russia Insider. Here's the title. Whole world sick and tired of U.S. foreign policy. According to four-star General Wesley Clark. Sorry about this. He's moving around too much. According to four-star General Wesley Clark, in a 1991 meeting with Paul Wolfert, then Undersecretary of State for Policy at the Department of Defense, and this is what I talked about earlier, Wolfert seemed a little dismayed because he believed the U.S. should have gotten rid of Saddam Hussein in Operation Desert Storm, but failed to do so. Clark summarized what he said. Wolfert said, but one thing we did learn. We learned that we can use our military in the region, in the Middle East, and the Soviets won't stop us. We've got about 5 or 10 years to clean up those old Soviet client regimes. Syria, Iran, Iraq, before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us. Hear it one more time. But one thing we did learn, we learned that we can use our military in the region, in the Middle East, and the Soviets won't stop us. Let me stop right there. See, here's what, in my opinion, happened. The Soviets had a very, very smart play. They allowed their overall system to crumble. So it allowed the U.S. to be the only standing superpower so that what? They could summarily, asymmetrically take them apart by allowing them to be the only show in town. And then now from that, you can dissect them much easier. And it was the smartest move ever. Because by that happening, now the world no longer looked at a dividing line of the U.S. and Russia. They only looked at the U.S. and they looked at them with great despise. And the U.S. got arrogant. Their arrogance initiated everything. Smart move. That's asymmetrical thinking. And we need to have more asymmetrical thinking, other than what these schools have taught us, to have real primal low frequency, malevolent responses to everything that are easily controlled. We surrender. So here's what was said. We got about 5 or 10 years. This is back in 1991. 10 years, 5 years would have been 96. 10 years would have been 2001. What happened in 2001? Boom. 5 or 10 years to clean up those old Soviet client regimes. Syria, Iran, Iraq, before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us. Lo and behold, who was the next great superpower to come along to challenge them? I'm going to tell you, it wasn't China. It wasn't just China. It was the BRIC nations. It was AIIB. It was China, Russia, Iran, Korea were the superpowers. Their arrogance underestimated and overextended their play in the world. They didn't even know that they got duped. They didn't even know that the rug got pulled from them, and that when they went to sit down, the chair had already been pulled. The article goes on. This was certainly the case in the years that followed. The United States used the pretense of 9/11 to attack both Afghanistan and Iraq, with little to no sustained resistance from the international community. Why? In my opinion, because the international community was like, let them overextend themselves. History says that they won't be able to do it. They will be worn, torn, and weaker because of their arrogance. And oh man, how well did it work. This trend continued as the Obama administration heavily expanded its operations into Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, and even the Philippines, to name a few, right up until the U.S.-led cohort of NATO countries to impose regime change in Libya in 2011. At the time, Russia withheld its veto power at the UN Security Council because it had received assurances that the coalitions would not presume regime change. After NATO forces began bombing Muammar Gaddafi's palaces directly, a furious Vladimir Putin questioned who gave NATO the right to kill Gaddafi. Well, I'm going to go on. Following Gaddafi's public execution on the streets, Putin's criticism of NATO betrayal went even further. He stated, here's the setup. This is what I've been talking about, the purge. And this is why this is so important. We have to look at things asymmetrically. The whole world saw him being killed, all bloodied. Is that democracy? And who did it? Drones, including American ones, delivered a strike on his motorcade. Then commandos, who were not supposed to be there, brought in so-called opposition militants and killed him without a trial. I'm not saying that Gaddafi didn't have to be quiet. To be quelled. But that should have been left up to the people of Libya to decide through the democratic process. Let me go on. No one appreciated it at the time, but American unchallenged ability to intervene anywhere and everywhere it chooses ended on that day. Absolutely. Fast forward to Barack Obama's plan to implement an existing strike plan against the Syrian government in 2013. No, I did not orchestrate what I was saying. This is just historical facts. This is absolutely true, which never transpired due to strong Russian opposition, widespread protests in the U.S., and a few years later, directly intervening in Syria at the request of the Syrian government in effectively implementing its own no-fly zone, specifically portions of the country. Now, let me stop there. It wasn't just Russia who stopped the U.S. It was the superpowers that stopped the U.S. Because remember, China said they're going to back Russia. They actually sent some of their naval armada there as well. Britain said, nope. Not going to support it. You're on your own and you're out your mind. Did it the strike was supposed to happen on a Friday, on Saturday. After the delay, the UK said, heck no. Why? Because they're in bed with the Russian business syndicated world. Goes on. However, Russia isn't the only company that is tired of the American foreign policy. In the recent emergency UN security meeting to discuss the current situation in Iran, it's a testament to that. Even Washington's traditional allies can't withhold their criticism of the America's desire to police the world. However, worrying that the events of the last days in Iran may be they do not constitute per a threat to the international peace and security. French ambassador to the UN said, "We must be wary of any attempt to expose this crisis for a personal end, and which would have the opposition outcome that which is wished for." Basically, nah, U.S., you're not getting your personal gains in no more. This is France. Why is France doing this? Because France is now really no longer a NATO ally, nor is Germany. So what are they now going to do? They're going to start making their overall policies and procedural decisions towards where? Towards Russia and towards China. Why? Because they're in business with them now. They're not in business with the U.S. anymore. Critical. But listen, I think we got another caller in queue. I'm going to come back to this. Very, very important. And these are some of the things that you should be knowing and to make your decisions based off of that. We got Brother Davis in queue. Want to go to him, and then we want to Scotty wants to make a quick announcement about a business opportunity in Ghana before we close out. So, Brother Davis, welcome. Always good to hear the voice of a friend, my brother. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. It's always good to hear the voice of a friend. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, it is uncanny on how we are so connected on a level that it surprises me sometimes. But tomorrow night show has to do with choices and our will. You see, people fail to realize that the energy that they exert through their choices is how they directly think. And when we allow ourselves to sit back and be quiet when our country is doing things all over the world that is really the people are not in agreement with, but Martin Luther King once said that your silence is your agreement. And we have to understand the importance of that statement moving forward, because a lot of people don't realize the leverage that March 1st, 2018 is going to have on us. I'm gonna leave that there because I know, Dave, you're going to cover that soon. And in reality, there's not much a lot of people can do, and then there's a lot that others can do. So the Monday Night Show is going to deal with our will and our choices, and how we literally have been manipulated to be ignorant about them. So I look forward to the Monday Night Show. Come with a pen and piece of paper, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to be really surprised on how arrogance has taken the forefront in the initiation of your intelligence to really give you a greater reflection of personal ignorance. I try to break that down as simple as I could. But if anybody stays along that train of thought, you're going to realize you're making a lot of decisions that have nothing to do with you. And the things that you should be making decisions on, you're not making at all. This is Brother Davis is going to be looking for you on tomorrow night's Wise Wednesday. Brother Davis, thank you very much. Back to you, man.
Yes, sir. Well said. We should be making decisions that's in the best interest of you. We're not making those decisions. So free will tomorrow. Man, Brother Davis, as you said, we're always have been. And that's why I greatly appreciate you, because you focus on us individually. And that is something that you and Sister Davis do so well. So Wise Wednesday tomorrow. Don't miss it. Come with a pen and paper in hand. Come with your questions and comments. Very important that we do that in that overall engagement on Wise Wednesday. So we're definitely going to do that. Scotty has an announcement. Scotty said that also that the whole thing that he killed his people was a lie. He was putting down the terrorists the CIA was using to overthrow him and transfer his weapons to terrorists in Syria to overthrow that government. Absolutely correct. You need to really look at who Gaddafi was and what was going on. And then what happened to the overall black, well, they all, in my opinion, black men, but the darker Libyans that were in Libya once Gaddafi was killed. What happened to those individuals? So we're going to bring Scotty up real quick. He wants to make an announcement. And then right after Tando Radio Show, BTR News is going to be coming on right after Tando Radio Show. So, Scotty, brother, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just a quick business announcement. I was contacted by someone from Ghana who asked me if I knew of any African-American chicken farmers out there that could supply at least one tractor trailer per month and can ship it in a container to Ghana. And they said be open to talking to them about investment in their business to grow their business. So that's a business opportunity that someone from Ghana asked me to relay to y'all.
Well, there it is. So Scotty gave the particulars for those of you, if any are in chicken farmers or chicken farmers, to meet that criteria, reach out and Scotty will get you the information for that. So that's some things that we always should be doing. So, okay, everyone, we are going to be getting out of here. Oh, wait, we got one more real quick. We got another caller in queue. Go ahead, Jambone.
Quick question there, Brother Rim. Has any information been leaked about any one of those, what you want to call Illuminati families, have plans to terraform the Earth's surface?
To do what, Jam?
To terraform
we hear
that. Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of biology studying right now, and there's more than one company's like going around the planet and storing huge amounts of what you want to call a DNA information, and that way they, in the future, if anything were ever to happen, they could recreate it. But a long story short, I've been like trying to put things together like a puzzle, and I'm thinking that there could be one family is trying to terraform the surface of the planet. Do you know anything about that? Is it a possibility, just a theory?
Man, you know what? I don't. And I know if there's anybody that could, anybody that could find out information. What I want you to do, I want you to contact my good friend. His name is Jambone. So if you do that, there ain't nobody that does better research than that brother. So I'm gonna look at that. And Brother Davis did a show about terraforming. And so yeah, we need to definitely take a look at that. So hey, Jambone, give us a call a little bit later because we got to get ready to get out of here because we got to make way for BTR News that's going to be coming on. Great to hear from you, brother. Give me a call. Come back. Let's take a look at that. Okay, everyone. It's never goodbye. As always, we'll see you later. And before you ask for a fortune, make sure to give one away. Much love, much respect. Brother Braggs, if you would be so kind to chime us out. We'll talk to you soon. Peace, peace. Brother Braggs, call me in the morning.
All right, I'll get you guys, no doubt. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi Gaddafi didn't give up.